Greetings everyone. My name is Rene Vitwazan Jr. and this is our midterm project in client-side scripting. And now, I will show you our code in HTML. Here, um, as you can see, these are code in HTML. As you can see, we have 4 buttons in here named draw card, start, draw number, draw num, and clear all. And this is what it look like. This is what it looks like if you run the program. Here. This is what it look like. This is what it looks like if you run our program.
Hello, my name is John Loresto from 2 ITEW2. Today I will discuss about draw cards functions. This code defines a function called draw cards. When this function codes is that the following. It creates a new instance of bingo card object using the new keyword and assign to the variable bingo cards. Then calls the draw cards method on the bingo card object. The draw cards method likely generates a new randomized bingo card assigned in the bingo card object. Finally, the bingo card object is pushed to an array called bingo card art. Overall, this code seems to a part of large program in, that involves create multiple bingo cards and storing them in an array. The code is for bingo card class that generates a random bingo card with unique number and provides a method display the card as a HTML where here's how it works. When a instance of the bingo card class is created, the constructor method is called. This method initializes two properties on the matrix and an is marked array. The matrix property is created by calling the generate matrix method. Two-dimensional array of unique random numbers. The numbers are generated by creating a temporary array by array num. Add filling it with random numbers until it contains 5 unique values.
My name is General Marliega, and I will explain the generate matrix function. The generate matrix function creates values of matrix property. The function starts with its own matrix and increment, as its values fluctuate for every iteration of the for loop below. The for loop has three stages. The first stage creates array num, which will be the matrix row, and indexes the rows number of items inserted. The second stage will generate a random number from 1 to 15 in whole number. To check if the number is unique, the third stage loops the entire row and will convert the is same boolean to true if the same number was found. Going back to the second stage, if each same remains false, the number will be added to the array row. The second stage will iterate until array num reaches 5 items. The code will then return to the first stage where the row will be stored into the function created matrix. Each item will be incremented based on the value of increment. The for loop will lastly add 15 to the increment value. It will iterate until the matrix has 5 array rows, which will leave the increment value to 60 at the end. The function will return the function created matrix and will be the value of the real matrix property. Displaying the created matrix in console, the result will be like this image. This shows that the matrix is inverted as numbers in bingo are grouped in rows instead of columns. This, however, will not be the exact positions of numbers when they are loaded into the bingo card, which will be done in the drawcard function.
Good day, sir. I am Nawajan Olpepita, and I'm here to discuss the drawcard function of the bingo card class. This function is used to create an HTML table from where all of the numbers in the matrix that we generated in generate matrix function is going to be displayed. It creates an HTML code which will be used to display the generated bingo card inside the div container, which has an ID of bingo div in the HTML. Looking at the code, it creates a simple HTML table with the table headers and the table data. What I want to focus on is on how each of the table data elements are being created. Instead of using the ID property, we assign class property to each table data elements to gain access for later use. Unlike ID property, class property can store multiple elements under the same class name, which is extremely useful when we are dealing with multiple bingo cards. All of this HTML code will be placed in the card data variable, which is going to be then placed in the bingo div using inner HTML.
So good day everyone, my name is Benish Taguliado and here's my explanation about the JavaScript class called class Draw. This is used to simulate a bingo card game. It contains a method to draw a random number, mark the numbers on the bingo cards, and check if the card is or if the card has won. The class has a constructor that takes up an array of bingo card objects as a parameter It also has a property called ball drones, which is an array that stores all the balls that have been drawn. The draw balls methods generates a random number between 1 and 75, and it checks if it is unique. If it's not unique, it's generate another random number until it finds a unique one. It then displays the result on the web page and adds the number to the ball drones array. So here's the start function, the start function is called when the user is click on the start button. It displays a confirmation message asking the user if they want to start the game. If the user confirms it, it changes the layout of the game by hiding the draw card and start buttons and displaying the draw ball and clear buttons. Then it initializes the ball draw objects with the bingo cards array as its parameter. So the draw
In draw num line of the function is changes the display property of an HTML element with the ID of PTN card to none. This element is probably a button on a web page, and this line is of a code deciding the button after it has been clicked, and this code is likely part of a larger program that simulates a bingo game or some other type of a game where numbers are randomly generated and marked on a card. In a draw ball, it declares two variables, ball and is new, and initiates is new to true. It starts a do-while loop which will continue running until a unique number is drawn from the bingo machine. Once a unique number is drawn, the functions display the number on the screen and adds the number to the draw bones array. In summary, this code simulates the process of drawing a random number from a bingo machine and keeps track of the numbers that have been drawn so far. And it also marks each bingo card that contains the drawn number.
Hi, I'm Oliver Adi Magkap, and I'm going to explain the code for mark card function. The mark card functions takes two parameters, a card which is the object that represents a bingo card, and a ball that represents a number drawn. The nested for loops iterates over all the numbers in the matrix property of the card object. For each number in the matrix, it checks whether it matches the drawn ball. If the number in the matrix matches the ball, the function applies a yellow background color to the corresponding TD or table data base tags elements on the HTML page. This is done by getting all the HTML elements with the class name of the number and changing their background color to yellow. After applying the yellow background, the function then accesses the smart property of the card object to update the value of the same cell to true. This property is an array that represents the state of the card where each element corresponds to a cell in the matrix. If a cell is marked, the value of the corresponding element in the array is set to true. And the function calls the isBingo method to check if the card has won. The isBingo method takes the isMark array as a parameter and check if there is a bingo pattern on the card. If there is, it returns true and the game ends. And that's all for the mark card function.
So the general algorithm for this function is that using a matrix, a collection of Boolean values, is marked, a property of the bingo card object, the program will check to see if the value is true. And if the value is true, then the program will continue to iterate through the rows, columns, until it either reaches the end or the program finds a false value, at which point the program loop will terminate and iterate through to the next row and its columns if a bingo is not has not been found. So as for the actual implementation of our algorithm, using a for loop, and within this for loop is a container for the value of the smart value, row I and column 0 for the first iteration, and a local variable call count, which is set to 0. So using a while loop, as long as the value of the row check is true and its call count has not reached 5, the while loop will continue. And inside this while loop, the element of the most recent is marked
smart matrix value is assigned to row check wherein column count is incremented. So after this while loop, if the last value of the row check is true, then the function show bingo is invoked. So using the same logic for the column part, the program will use a for loop and create a column, a local variable call check, and assigns the value of smart row 0 and column I, and a local variable row count, which is set to 0. So using another while loop, the program will check whether the value assigned to call check is true and that row count has not reached the end of the rows column. And inside this while loop is that the value of smart row count and uh, index I is assigned to call check wherein row count is implemented until the conditions are not met, wherein it proceeds to an if statement where it checks the value of column check, call check, and if it is true, meaning that the program has not found a false value within the column of the smart matrix, the function show bingo is invoked once again. Uh, After this is a series of if statements where it checks for the diagonals of the smart column and whether they are true or not. So if the smart row 0 column 0 is true and 1 1 smart row 1 column 1 is equals to true, and so on and so forth, and if the conditions are satisfied, the function show bingo is once again called.
So the function of show bingo is it is name show bingo that is called when a bingo has been run. So when showing this when the function is called, it performs the following uh, this following action. So first is it sets the inner HTML of an element with an ID of the result to string. That it includes the current card, index, and a message indicating that the card has won. So that is the card. That is the card has a bingo number. So it hides the button element with an ID of button drawable by setting its display CSS property to none. So show an alert message that says it's bingo if the card has a bingo number. So that is the function of show bingo. The function of clear all is which intend to be called a clear or to reset the set of a bingo game. Here's what the function of the clear all. So button clear that style display equals to none. This line set the CSS display property of an element with the ID button clear to none. This likely hides a clear button that was previously visible on the game screen. So the other code is button drawable that style that display equals to none. This line set the display property of an element with the ID button drawable to none. This likely hides drawable button that was previously visible on the game screen also. So the other is button draw cards that style that display inline. This line the CSS display property of an element with the ID button draw card to inline. This likely show a draw card button that was previously hidden on the game screen. So the other is button start. This line set or to display a property of an element with the ID of a button start. This likely show a start button that was previously hid to the game screen also. And the other is bingo or the bingo division inner HTML. This line set the HTML content of an element with the ID bingo div to an empty string. This likely clears an empty previously displayed bingo cards from the game. And bingo cards array. So it is effectively clearing and previously generated bingo card. Ball equals to new. Creates a new instance of ball object passing in the empty or an array as a parameter like initialize the game ball drawing mechanism. And lastly, draw result. This line is to show effectively clearing and uh, any previously displayed draw result. Overall, the clear all function clears the game screen of a previous game state and resets its starting state ready for a new game. That's all.
So good day, I will be demonstrating our code. So here's the demonstration. This is the draw card of our bingo. First you draw a card. You can draw multiple cards. Here we draw 3 cards and start our program. An alert button will say, do you wish to start a game? You can add one more cards yet. So once you start, you press the draw ball and the ball drawn is shown on the lower side. So if the ball is drawn, it will mark it in the bingo card, and if the ball is not drawn, it will not mark in the bingo card. So here I'm constantly drawing balls for, there we go, the bingo alert button that says bingo. It says the bingo card on the card number 3, which is a column card. Once you press clear, it will automatically delete all the card and you can play again.